Welcome to the Grow Your Practice podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Chad Madden, owner of Madden Physical Therapy and Breakthrough. Join me each week as we dive into the best practices, systems, principles, tips, and tricks to help you grow your private practice. Hey everybody, Chad Madden here with the Grow Your Practice podcast, and today we have a very special guest. Trina Sanders is a physical therapist and also partner, owner, founder of Motus Wellness and Physical Therapy in Houston, Texas. Did I get the name right there, Trina?
Motus Physical Therapy and Wellness.
Close. Great. Awesome. So thank you for being here. You've been a physical therapist now for 2 or 3
years.
decades. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. So can we start with that? How'd you get into physical therapy?
My journey wasn't like a whole lot of people. My dad wanted me to go to medical school, and I didn't want to go to medical school. I like math and science and met a girl in my physics class. She worked at a physical therapy clinic, and she said, "Hey, come volunteer." And I did, and I liked it. So that's my story.
Was there one moment in that like shadowing or volunteer experience where you're like, this is for me?
I can't say that there was a particular moment. I just enjoyed the experience and then became an employee there as a tech and soon got into PT school. So just
Awesome.
worked out. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So how long have you been in private practice for yourself? If you can bring everybody up to speed on that.
18 months, not very long.
So you're brand new, right?
Brand new.
Great. New. And then what did you do from the time of graduation in the mid-90s through 18 months ago?
So I actually started off doing some traveling assignments as a therapist and ended up getting married, worked in outpatient for a while, moved to Texas with my husband, and that was in, I think, 97, 98. And things really took a downturn. I don't remember the exact terminology, but there was some Medicare or Healthcare Act and salaries dropped. And in that year, my salary dropped $20,000.
Wow.
Moving from Louisiana to Texas. So thankfully I was married. It worked out. And I did outpatient for a while. I've had a good experience. I love physical therapy. I then moved on and did a little bit of home health while my son was in middle school, and decided later when he got into high school to go back and work in outpatient. Did that for years, loved it, and got to a point where I was in a hospital system and just, I guess, outgrew the system because there was no potential for growth there. So decided to venture out on my own. Another employee at the hospital, we both decided we were at that point as to where we wanted to do something together. So we went into business together.
That's awesome. And what's her name?
Her name is Oriana Guzman Tapley.
That's great. So you worked together, started a practice together. What was the main, and by the way, pretty gutsy to do it in 2022, right? 2023. Not the easiest time to start a business. What was your thought process? How did you go through that conversation with her, about what you wanted to do, and ultimately what helped you make that decision?
I think for us, we just wanted to feel like we were in control of our own destiny. We both, like I said, worked in the hospital system. The dynamics there were changing, and it was just time for a change. So we just decided to take the leap. We both have a backup. So it worked out. My son graduated from college, and I felt like it was just a great opportunity to start something new. I wanted a challenge, and boy, did I get one.
That's great. So the thing that we talk about is most of us, when we're in private practice in the very beginning, we don't know what we don't know yet, right? We want to do things our way, and then we open up and we quickly discover all the things that we didn't know. Correct. If you could go back 18, 24 months and have a conversation with yourself in 2022, what would you tell yourself about what you're getting yourself into?
This is going to be the hardest you've ever worked in your life. Get ready.
That's great.
Yes, it is quite challenging, but luckily I met you and your breakthrough team, and you guys have helped us out tremendously. I think for me, my biggest issue was time management, and it still is. But what I realized after working with you guys is that I can't do it on my own. I am self reliant, I am a go getter. My philosophy is sink or swim, and I'm not sinking. So, but that was very difficult in the beginning. A lot of sleepless nights, and going through your program just kind of helped me focus. We ended up hiring a virtual assistant after attending the Breakthrough Boot Camp.
Oh,
Shout
good for
out
you.
to Will Humphreys
Nice.
with Rockstar VA. But we have a great virtual assistant. She is absolutely amazing. She answers the phones for us. She checks our emails and faxes. She's doing our revenue cycle management. If we need something done, she gets it done. It is absolutely amazing. And so I am getting more time. Doesn't give me time to relax, just gives me something else to focus on,
Yeah,
but very, very helpful.
that's great. So, number one is what you would tell yourself, it sounds like, is time management. Make sure you're able to focus on what you need to be able to focus on, right?
Which is one thing, too, that you guys pointed out. When we left the boot camp, you were
Yeah.
saying you're going to walk away with a lot of great ideas, but only work on three.
Yeah.
So Trina decided three for Trina, three for Ori.
Oh, nice. So
I
you're
don't think
really
that's
doing
going to
so.
work, though. We need to step back a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. I know in here something that you took out of the courses, a book that I recommend often. I just gifted it last Friday. Is Never Split the Difference. That book by Chris Voss. Can you
Uh-huh.
talk a little bit about what that has meant for you in your business life and your private practice career, or if you're using it on your husband or your son or whatever? Where are you using that in your life, and what does the book mean to you?
Well, for me, I think that a lot of it just has to do, as far as business, it's given me, it made me focus on really thinking about productivity. In the hospital, I didn't have to think about that. That was the beauty of working for someone else. But I look at things in a totally different way. That cancellation rate really means a lot.
Before we continue with this episode, here's a word about our next event, the Revenue Per Visit Virtual Summit.
Private practice owners, are you tired of declining reimbursements and shrinking margins? Join me on July 18th for the Revenue Per Visit Virtual Summit. It's a value-packed, free, online live event where you'll discover strategies that you can put into action in your practice to boost your revenue per patient and enhance your practice's profitability. You'll hear from industry leaders and private practice owners like Mark Callanan from Motus, who will be talking about how to increase revenue with cash-based services, and Sterling Carter of Sterling PT and Wellness, who was able to increase his reimbursement rates by over 15% with providers. With more than 8 speakers, 5 hours of actionable training, and hundreds of practices in attendance, you don't want to miss out on this game-changing event. Click the link below to register today, and I'll see you there.
Thank you for listening this far. Now, back to the episode.
For me, it's just about having the deep focus on productivity. When I do that, it enhances my decision-making ability. I have less stress, and when I can focus on that time management part, that helps with that. And so I don't know that I got the Eisenhower matrix from Split the Difference, but I
Mhm.
was introduced to that at some point, which helped me to put things in categories of urgent and important.
Mhm.
And my tendency was to make everything urgent and important.
Yeah.
And so now I'm learning how to delegate, how to push things off to the side, and when things really are urgent and important, what I have to work on right now, you know? So it's those things are helping me to focus a little bit better.
That's great. So if there's another practice owner who's early in her practice career or his practice career, is that the book that you'd recommend, or is there anything else that you'd recommend as well?
I definitely would recommend that one. But another one that I am working on is who I think is Jeff Smart. And that's about choosing the right people to work with you, making sure that you get the right employee to fit your condition. It is a struggle because right now we need to hire a PTA, and it is a struggle not to just hire the first person that we come across because we need a body in the door. But I feel like if we make that decision to do that, it would be the wrong decision. We just have to keep pushing through until we find the right person. We're looking for that person right now. That book has been very helpful.
Smart. Love that book. I just blanked. Yeah. Jeffrey Street. Is that right? Randy Street and Jeff Smart. I think that's it. Yeah. When you and I first met and we were talking, I know the main thing that you were looking for is consistency, right? In terms of patient visits. You're working in the hospital, your schedule's probably always full, right? You couldn't possibly do any more. You always have patients waiting when you go out into outpatient private practice, and it's a different story. Can you talk about your journey there, like maybe a low point that you hit and really what you were looking for in terms of filling your schedule?
We definitely wanted to make sure that we were seeing the types of patients that we want to see, which is primarily around ortho. We don't want to see neuro patients because that's just not our specialty. That's not what we're strong in. But leaving the hospital was an eye-opener. I feel like I'm a pretty good therapist and just thought that things would take off and I didn't really have to market, and realized that luckily I have a partner who is a great marketer, and that was her forte. That's why we decided to go into business together. But you can't stop marketing. That is the biggest thing. And we didn't have all the strategies. We had some strategies. So going through the breakthrough program really helped us to, one, cultivate those clients that we already had. I think your motto is go after the ones that already know, like, and trust you.
Yep.
And that really makes a huge difference. So I would say we started the program, I think, in March of this year. And we were right at about 195 visits a month. And we're only looking to get about 280 per month with just the two of us. That was the initial goal. But after going through the program, we're at about 250 per month. So we're feeling really good about that and ready to hire. We feel like we want to hire a tech as well because we've implemented some of the cash-based programs that you talked about. We were giving away service and learned that that is not a good thing. So we utilize laser and dry needling. And we feel like if we have a tech, that tech could do the laser and we could continue to see our patients one-on-one for the full hour. So that would just help us improve our revenue.
Yeah, that's great. And just as a disclaimer and to protect you, Trina, you're in Texas.
I am.
Every practice act is different. So for the listeners that are listening to this right now, you want to make sure you know your practice act and what techs, PTAs, CODAs, OTs, physical therapists, any other clinician that you have, what they can provide. But I know Texas is pretty generous with the practice act. Mm-hmm. Very cool. So you talked about marketing for growth, filling your schedules. That was great. You also talked about the virtual assistants. What's next for you? You talked about hiring. So how do you and Oriana think through that in terms of like growing your team? How many within your space, how many team members could you have?
Within our space, we've determined that we can have 4 team members. And again, that was an eye opener. I know I keep referring back to that boot camp, but your program helped so much. I honestly, before we started, did not see a real path forward. I was thinking to myself that even if we did hit our goal of having 70 visits a week, that was a salary that was doable for us, but I didn't see the potential for growth, but I didn't know how to utilize the space that we have. So going through and finding out that we can put 4 people in this area and fit comfortably, and now I can see it. We have a PRN PTA that comes in, and it works out just fine. But our plans are to continue to grow. There's a space next door. We're looking into acquiring that space. Once we get our census up more, we got to get those other 2 employees here, but then we want to take over the space next door. So it's just very exciting. Now I can see that there truly is potential for us to scale and be the type of company that we want to be. Maybe move on to other locations later on.
That's great. Trina, I know you're tight on time and you have some patients coming in. So just want to tell you, love what you're doing. Also, another disclaimer for everybody listening, you're an amazing worker, right? Good work ethic. Also a student, puts it into action right away. Super fast learner. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you and really appreciate you coming on the podcast here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. Thanks, Trina.
Alrighty. Okay. Have a good one.
Private practice owners, are you tired of declining reimbursements and shrinking margins? Join me on July 18th for the Revenue Per Visit Virtual Summit. It's a value-packed, free, online live event where you'll discover strategies that you can put into action in your practice to boost your revenue per patient and enhance your practice's profitability. You'll hear from industry leaders and private practice owners like Mark Callanan from Motus, who will be talking about how to increase revenue with cash-based services, and Sterling Carter of Sterling PT and Wellness, who was able to increase his reimbursement rates by over 15% with providers. With more than 8 speakers, 5 hours of actionable training, and hundreds of practices in attendance, you don't want to miss out on this game-changing event. Click the link below to register today, and I'll see you there.